I have to bring this up today. Okay, Spencer Pratt.
Pratt Daddy.
Okay, so if you guys don't know who he is, if you might remember him from The Hills, reality TV villain, married Heidi from The Hills, was best friends with Brody Jenner. Well, they think they still are friends. Grew up in LA. Basically, what has been in reality TV, he's 40 since he was 20 years old. Yeah. And he grew up, you know, I don't know what his parents did, but he grew up with a lot of well-to-do kids, and the guy made connections, and he, you know, made a career for himself being a TV villain. And I think he's very smart. He went to school for has a degree in poli-sci. And he knew what he was doing. He knew if he could make a lot of money being an asshole. And I think, but he's been married for almost 20 years. He has 2 kids. Seems like a good family guy. And I think I've never really, I mean, back then when I was like, you know, in high school and middle school watching The Hills, like, oh, he's a dick, like whatever. But if you like had seen his growth over the years, you know, never had a cheating scandal, never had any real, like, never been really arrested, never really issues.
No, he's definitely like, I mean, I really like Spencer, but I think it's fair for much of his career, like post The Hills, to be like, this is kind of griftery, and I think he would admit that.
Yeah,
that,
but
like,
he's self-aware. I appreciate that.
Yes, like he's like, we went there and we called the paparazzi. I wanted pictures of us.
Yeah,
so this.
He was. I was a villain on, you know, The Hills, because if they said if we got 5 million viewers, I got $1 million bonus.
Right.
So he's like, I was trying to get to that 5 million. So I appreciate his self-awareness and his honesty
and his hustle. I mean, they hustle.
Yeah, I mean, that guy has sold crystals. He's sold, like, he's been on reality. Like, anyways, all this to say, their house got burned down during the fires last year.
Yes.
Right? And they have not been able to rebuild. He's been very honest with their financials, saying that just because you live a certain life does not mean you have all this money, because a lot of it is, you know, freelance work. You're getting paid a chunk of money, and then you live on that for a year, sometimes 2 years. It's not a lot of, you know, flow in that sense. And so you might get an influx of money, but again, you might have to live on that for years. California taxes, you got kids, all that. So they did have a beautiful home, and that got burned down. Now they're living in an Airstream trailer on the property. They've had not been able to rebuild, you know, a lot of insurance.
I mean, they're not really living there.
No, well, I'm sorry. They just...
But he has to in order to run. He has to have a residence.
Right? That's how it works. Because
you have to live in the county.
He's outside the county right now. Okay. So anyways, he's running for mayor of LA. Now, when I first saw it, I was like, I didn't think anything of it. You know, we've seen this many times where a well-known person will put their hat in the running, and no one really pays attention to it. For some reason, it's all over my feed now, probably because I watched one video.
Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, everything he's saying, I truly think he actually means it.
Yeah.
He has common sense. He is really just saying what everyone is feeling, like, as a constituent.
Yeah.
And he is smart, and he basically just wants to implement, like he said, democratic laws over, you know, the city of Los Angeles and the county to clean it up, because it's becoming like a zombie land. Like, I hate to say it like that, but we have it down in Mass and Cass. Like, Mass and Cass, there's a lot going on there.
There's a lot of similarities in a lot of these places. So for Spencer Pratt, do you watch Juicy Scoop with Heather McDonald at all?
No.
It's my favorite podcast, like, of all time. And
only 2 podcasts I watch are ours and mine. And Winnie's World on Patreon, and this on YouTube. That's all.
Heather McDonald, she's so good, because you know why too? I started watching her probably like maybe during COVID, maybe a little bit before, but she does all the stuff that I love, like the Bravo and reality and like all that kind of stuff. She's a comedian. She used to be on Chelsea.
I know she is.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I know she is.
Yeah, she's really good. So a couple of years ago, she started having Spencer on all the time, and I feel like for a long time he was very like persona non grata with a lot of like, you know, just everybody kind of looked at him a certain way. Like, oh, he's doing this, or he's doing that. And like, yes, they clearly have lasted a long time. He and Heidi, they have a good family, all this kind of stuff. But like, nobody really like took him super seriously. And he started coming on hers a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh, I think he's so smart and so funny. And so this was like before the fires and everything. But then he came on a couple times and started talking about the fires, and I was like, he's you know. What often happens in politics is that there's like these little moments where people something happens to them personally.
Yep.
And then it like just motivates this like drive
Right.
and like groundswelling of support, because why he's different is because he's not a politician. He's not in this world.
Yeah.
He is somebody who has been harmed by the policies of the government, essentially, because their house, like part of the issue that he has been talking about, like he literally would, and I've gone on Heather too, I think, because she like let him, because she lives out there and she knows the area or whatever, and knows all these people whose houses literally burned to the ground, and let him come on and kind of explain it. He talked about how there was like one of the big, I don't know what they call them out there watersheds or water bays or reservoirs, but like it had been drained.
Two of them were drained.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that they knew like that the winds were switching at a certain time. And at this time, Mayor Karen Bass was in like Ghana.
She was in Ghana
on some sort of trip. And I will give it that, like, you can never predict what's going to happen.
Right.
But
his point too was her deputy mayor was on house arrest too during that time.
Yeah.
So she was in Ghana.
Right.
On some goodwill trip, I'm assuming. And I mean, you can still govern from, out of the state. And I think I saw the debate. Did you watch the debate?
I watched some of it. Yeah.
Okay, I watched some of it.
Yeah.
And the debate was between him, the current mayor, Karen Bass, the third woman, I don't know her name.
Her first name's Nithya. I know that because he always refers to it as Nithya.
Nithya, and she is a socialist to like the nth degree. She has a rich husband. I don't know. She has money too, but she's an councilwoman. And she is like way out there. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, she's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter.
She's left of left.
It's like, you can't even get more left than her, but to the point where it's like, oh, like, you're so left. Like, I don't even know where you are. Like, and to the point where, like, she says, like, for homeless people and people on drugs, it doesn't matter if their encampment is a 1 foot or 500 feet from a school. Yeah. And it's like, girl, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, it does matter.
And what's happened in a lot of these places, like, and you see it, like, here you see it in a lot in the South End, because that's like adjacent to sort of Mass and Cass. So the people who live in the South End who have these like
very
multi-million dollar homes also have people who are like, falling asleep on the sidewalk and half clothed and stealing and this and that. And the drugs.
Some of them are I used to live in Roxbury on the hill, like before Mass and Cass. So I was working on the radio at that time. I was going to work at 4:35 in the morning. I'm a young 20-something, right? So I had to come down from the hill, and I ended up right on Mass and Cass to jump on the highway. That was how I went to work, and I lived there for about a year. And and I always like to think I'm very empathetic. We've all been touched. I mean, you had a substance issue. We've all been touched with people that have substance issues, right? And so I was always empathetic to it. Being up on the hill, they never came up the hill, which was nice. They kind of would but when you came down and you're seeing people like literally nodding out in the middle of the road, you see people begging for money. You see people having sex. Yeah. You see people that are naked. You see people shooting up. Yeah. I saw that every morning at 4 or 5 in the morning. You know what I mean? And it was jarring because I've always lived within like 15, 20 minutes of Mass and Cass, but I never lived so close where I saw it every day. Yeah. And after witnessing that, I'm like, I have empathy, but I used to work with, Justin, and he would say, like, when you're that strung out, you don't want a bed, you don't want help, you just want drugs. Yes. And so you're just letting people continuously, this cycle of doing drugs, overdosing, having needles everywhere, doing inappropriate things. And I'm not even saying it's their fault. They're high on drugs. They don't know that they're not.
No, they're being enabled. I mean, I think that a lot of the policies that many of these, largely Democratic left-leaning cities and states, I think they were all well-intentioned. Yeah. Because I do think, that's why we live in a political world where it's like, oh, one person's evil, one's... I think most people genuinely think I'm trying to do good, I'm trying to be helpful, but like these kinds of policies aren't helpful. Actually, I think they're harmful in a way because you perpetuate sort of the cycle. And, we even, like in Massachusetts, there's a lot of things that we don't prosecute anymore. And, I've been thinking a lot about it lately. Like, we don't prosecute for possession. We used to prosecute for, I don't even know if they're on the books anymore, the statute, like knowingly being present or possession of a hypodermic needle, all those kinds of things. And what that did was it would enable the system to kind of take that person off the street and like at least put them in jail for 30 days and like get cleaned up, hopefully, and then give them the possibility that they might choose like, okay, maybe I want to get sober now. You don't get sober from the street. You're not going to get sober from the street unless you have taken out of the street. So you need intervention. And so what's happening in all these places, like in LA, is like we'll just give them this and make sure they have clean needles and then they have a house to stay in and then they're on food stamps, and you're creating a whole world where like their life is subsidized. And I do think the goal was to help, but it doesn't help.
Well, the thing is, being passionate, I don't want to be like everybody on Mass and Cass needs to go to jail, right?
No, and that's not what I'm saying.
No, I know that. I know you're not saying that either. I'm saying like you can have compassion and put effort into getting them clean or whatever, but in the meantime, we cannot have a bunch of people just nodding out in the middle of the road. Like, I just don't know. And then they all go to BMC over there, and like they're just, and then like I don't want to be like these people are like less than because they're on drugs. Like that's not where I'm at, because there's people that are living in $1 million houses that are on drugs too. Like these people, the drug epidemic doesn't matter if you're poor or rich. People are on drugs all the time.
Doesn't discriminate, right? In AA.
But it's like if you continuously enable people to continue to get high and zone out and do disgusting things on the side of the road because they're so high they don't know what the fuck they're doing, right? It's like, what are we saying for like how we want
society to be,
right? And I think what Spencer has been saying about those people, he goes, I'm not looking to throw them in jail. I'm saying we need to get them out of the street, clean, in a bed somewhere. We're not just supplying all these things for them to stay on the street. And that's what he's saying. He goes, I'm saying I want them to get help. I don't want to throw them in jail, but there has to be, he goes, you say you have all this money for programs. Well, where is it going? Because we don't see it being used. I just see people on the streets and they're fornicating and they're taking a shit on the side of the road where your kids are going to school. LA used to be,
and a lot of people in those kinds of communities, like if you down at like Mass and Cass, there's so much violence and there's all kinds of, you know what there is? Lots of assaults on women who don't get taken seriously because they're drug addicts on Mass and Cass. You know what I mean? Like that's what's actually happening. And so, you know, it's a societal sort of like, you know, you have to be able to say, we have a problem. We tried this as a solution. It doesn't work. Let's figure out something else. Instead of what happens now in like in the political realm is people just double down on their side. Everyone's so afraid on the left and the right to admit they were wrong. Right. And it's like you need someone sometimes in the middle, like a Spencer Pratt, to just like cut the bullshit out. Let's just like, we all see what's happening. We all see the streets. We all see what's going on. Like, let's not pretend that's not happening. Let's have a real conversation about it. And you know, and I think that's fair. It's like, and he talks about all the funds with the Palisades fires and that like all the nonprofits, and it was supposed to go to the homeowners and like all these homeowners, because a lot of them, what's happening is, and this is happening because of climate change all over the country. So in areas where you're prone to fire, insurance companies aren't insuring these properties anymore because it's too big of a risk, right? Like, so the insurance business is a risk business. And so they're not going to insure your house if there's a 50% chance it burns down in the next 5 years.
And they all lost insurance.
So they all lost their insurance. And then there was this like California fund that you had to like apply to. And I don't know the specifics of it, but a lot of people weren't insured through that yet at that time. So like a lot of these people not only lost their houses, but they don't have the insurance money to rebuild. And then the money, all the donations and the funds is being misappropriated. So it's like, of course you're gonna have people like Spencer Pratt who's pissed. And who cares if he was on a reality show and his wife is a pop star, you know, EDM, you know, wannabe singer. Like, who cares? Like, he's a citizen and he's bringing to the forefront. And you know what? To me, I'm like he's running as a Republican, I think, but I'm like, his when he speaks and the stuff he's talking about and the reason he's resonating, it doesn't scream political party. It screams representative of the common people, of the people.
When I said everyone's like trying to like paint him, his proponents as like MAGA and this and whether or not he is, I don't know. But his thing is, he goes, my whole family's Democrats. Like he's from a very
he's from fucking L.A.
Yeah, he's like everybody. He was like every law I'm talking about was made by Democrats.
Look at who do you think? Heidi Montag. I bet she's #1 on the like pop charts of like the gays.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not talking about.
Let's go back to the MAGA king, Donald Trump. He has said many times in public he ran Republican because he knew he could win.
Yes,
right. Like that's what he did. He probably being from New York, probably had a little bit more liberal.
I mean, he was in like liberal Democrat societies for a long time.
Financially, do the Republicans work out for him? Absolutely.
Yes.
But when his social views, I'm sure he's had some abortions I'm sure he's had 3 or 4 wives. Like, I mean, 3 or 4 baby mamas. Like you know what I mean? Like he's not screaming Christian right wing.
And to be honest, like that's what happens now is that everybody just like slurs one side or the other. And I'm like, having listened to him quite a bit over the past couple of years in different interviews, I'm like, he doesn't scream like, yeah, he has some like, things, conspiracy, this and that, but so don't I.
Yeah.
and what we know now of like the government and, and I think he's representative of people feel like we want someone who sounds like us and is having the same kind of struggles as us. And like, yes, he's in LA. Yes, he was a reality star, but like, can he stay at his father's house?
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be back. Like, he was the governor. And I think for me, us living in besides the climate, like, we're kind of similar in a lot of ways to LA.
Yes.
In that sense, right? Obviously, it's bigger.
Yeah.
But Boston has a lot of the same problems. Like, climate, obviously, we're lucky we don't have the climate issues. Yeah. But I'm hopeful that if Spencer Pratt can become the mayor of LA and something can change, that it can kind of make its way this way, because I'm not like, I obviously don't live in Boston. I can't vote for the mayor of Boston. I don't really have like a dog in the fight. But growing up right outside the city my whole life, like I've always lived 10 minutes from downtown Boston. Yeah. I have lived in I've lived in Mattapan. I lived in Dorchester. I've lived in Roxbury. Like when I was in my my early 20s, I hopped around all of Boston I lived in Boston. Yeah. But I've always lived right outside the city, and you take a lot of pride in that. Like even if you're not in Boston proper, like it's our city. Yeah. And it's like, we can't vote, but it does affect us still in a lot of ways. So it's like when we continue to just be like, we have to be compassionate. Can we be compassionate and also be realist? Yeah. Can we be both?
Well, I don't think enabling is compassion though. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think that's where we're at. We're out in this world that's like, okay, we've tried it. We've tried the over compassion. We've tried the softer. That's what they say. Not that I'm not in AA anymore, but I do love the slogans. They say the easier, softer way. Like, no, that never works.
It's like
it doesn't work.
Gentle parenting's not working.
No. And like, would you, if you have somebody who's using in your house, if you have a kid who's using and they're struggling and they're this and that or whatever, like at some point you got to stop paying for their car. You got to stop paying for this. You have to say to them, I love you. You can't be in this house and doing that. Why? It's the same thing as the city of Boston. It's like, you can't be like, we love you. Stay on the streets. Just keep doing this. We'll give you a place if you want to listen, it's like, it's a very complicated issue. And I also think, just to sort of, wrap up on this one, but I also think we're just like, the United States as a whole is sort of in a moral decline. Yeah. And so we have much more serious drugs. We have much more economic insecurity. We have, we have sort of a group of things that have created this space where things just seem to be like declining and declining. Like the drugs on the street are so much more serious and addictive. Like the stuff that people are doing now it's crazy. It's like the fentanyl, the meth, it's a whole nother level of and like it's a whole nother level of addiction. And most of it now is very fast acting. So you used to get like something and it would like last you a few hours. Now everything's like fast, immediate, high, and then in like 30 minutes it's gone. So you got to do it again. So it's like creating like hyper addicts. Yeah. And like you said, like Justin said, People don't want to get high. People want to get sober from the street. They want to get high. If you're on mass and cast, you're trying to get high. You're not trying to get sober. So there has to be some sort of intervention where somebody pulls you out of that. And that's going to have to be government, because we can't allow people to just be, because we feel bad because they're addicted. Yeah, well, give them an actual opportunity to get sober.
Yeah.
Letting them get high and giving them clean needles is not going to get them sober.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And Narcan. Like, I get it. But so I think that's what Spencer Pratt is sort of like capitalizing on.
He has not said one thing where I'm like, ooh, I don't like that. Everything he said, I'm like, yep, okay, sir, yes, yeah. And I haven't, obviously, we don't live in LA, 3,000 miles away. I'm not following it like hyper focused, but like whenever I listen to this man talk, I'm like, wow, he's like making a lot of sense, and he's saying what everyone's feeling. And I think, and everyone's saying, well, he's not a politician. Well, neither was Donald Trump, and everyone elected him as president. And his point was true. I'm not a politician, but what have the politicians been doing to help? Like, they're not. Like, what does your experience do? It's not doing anything. Having experience,
And I really believe that most people, even though we feel like and we're told that everyone's either like real left or real right, most people have like normie perspectives. So someone like him resonates, whether it's
I think
more
a
left
lot of
or
it
more
is
right.
common sense. A lot of it is, and it's like, I don't know how this like right and left thing started, and I don't know why it started.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's like you have to be left, you have to be right. Like, I don't subscribe to that at all. There's certain things as like I consider myself pretty liberal. I grew up in a, I'm a daughter of an immigrant. I'm a very strong-willed mother. Like, I have a lot of strong women in my life. Like, I'm a strong, independent woman. Like, I love that for us. Like, they're at the point in our like, the fact that I grew up in a world where like I can do anything I want, and I have access to, especially to my dad's from the Middle East. So like seeing like even like I didn't grow up in the Middle East and not be able to go to school and have bombs dropping on me. You definitely realize that when you come from an immigrant household. But at the same time, it's like, I'm also like, well, I don't want to, also as someone who's compassionate, I don't want to drive down Mass and Cass and see people fucking. Yeah. Like, I don't want to see them nodding out in the middle of the road. I don't want to see that. I don't want people that walk around Boston having you step on needles. Like, you can be both things. You can feel this way and be like, I want them to get help. I don't want to have them go in jail for no reason, like clogging up the jails for when we have actual criminals. You can also be like, I also think weed should be legal because who gives a shit? Right. But I also don't think that we should be handing out needles. Right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what, what I mean? We can be all these things. You don't have to be kind of like a Christian, a right winger that no drugs at all. Right. Or you don't have to be someone that's like every drug in the world. Right. Like, you'd be like, weed and alcohol's fine. But, and honestly, alcohol is probably worse than weed at the time.
I would agree with that for sure.
It's way more accessible. Oh, now we actually, there's a dispensary on every corner now.
There's a dispensary
on every corner now. It's actually insane because the state was like, oh, we could tax the fuck out of them.
I know.
I know. The tax are crazy.
Oh, they make so much money. Well, and that's the thing. It's just everything is. We got to go back to the norm representing like middle class Americans, because like most if you're on, we're like hyper online. Yeah. And it makes, and even the online media and the regular media, everybody acts like people only exist in these like extremes. And I'm like, most of the people I talk to are pretty normal in the middle. Like, if you didn't, like what you just described, right? If you didn't use the word liberal, and if I described like kind of my ideas and didn't label them left or right, I would bet most people just want the same stuff. Right. It's like, I just want to live my life. I don't even know if I could say, I think I say liberal because you don't want to be around here, especially. Yeah. You don't want to like be like, oh, I'm conservative, but I'm not. Right. I'm more of like, do you, I do me. Yeah. Like, do you, boo. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit like what you do, who you're with. Yeah. I think I'm more of like, I worry about me, you worry about you. Well, that is, the problem today is that liberal, because I consider myself like a classical liberal, which is sort of like an old school, more traditional, and that's probably what you probably align with. Yeah. Now, when people say the word liberal, they think so negative. Well, right. Like, you know what I mean? Well, I always try to like have conversations with people, because I'm like, if you understand what liberalism actually is, it's really like small government. You mind your own business, I'll mind my business. Yeah. Like, protective of the Constitution and individual liberties. Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't care if you don't believe, whatever, you do you. Yeah, like separation of church and state, like that type of stuff. Like, so I have that's like one of my major like it like grinds my gears that the word liberal has been co-opted by the left, because I'm like, there are a lot of us like good liberals. I feel like too, a lot of people on the right, maybe I think it's honestly more of a MAGA thing.
they have to be like, you're a liberal.
Oh yeah, they're like, oh,
Or
the
they
lib,
say
oh, the libs,
the lib,
the libs,
a lib,
oh,
a
the
lib, a
libs.
lib. I'm like, shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
a lib. I'm
Yeah.
not the liberal you think I
Yeah.
am.
Well, the
I'm like,
left
I'm
is
like,
not-
you can have an abortion. You can marry a guy if you're a guy.
Yes.
You can do all these things. Pay your taxes. Be a good person.
Yeah.
And you put well into society.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's where I'm at with I'm a liberal.
Right.
Am I like, oh my God, like let's like let everyone be like, you know, shoot up in the middle of the road liberal? No.
Right.
Am
right.
I like?
Well, that's because it's not a liberal. They just the word has been co-opted by like the left.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Yeah.
I have like it grinds my gears a little bit because I'm like, you know, whatever. But whatever. So I think most of America is really, for the most part, like has pretty middle of the road views.
Yeah.
I really do. Like I think if you went to, you know, Utah or, you know, Kentucky or Connecticut, if you didn't ask anything about, if you didn't talk about what political party, if you were like, what do you care about for your family? You'd be like, that I can pay my bills, that we can have vacation, you know, I don't want anybody telling me how to teach my kids. I don't, you know, most people will say the same stuff. And then it's like, okay, guess what? You do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll do it the way I want to do it. I won't bother you.
Yeah.
You won't bother me. We don't want the government telling us what to do. And that's what democracy is supposed to be. Now it's become democracy is what I say as a Republican, or democracy is what I say as a Democrat. And that's like the antithesis of where we're at. Okay, we come full circle.
Okay, I'm exhausted from this conversation.
I know. We're going to talk about the Real Housewives of Rhode Island, but that's going to have to be next week.
Next week.
And there's so much in that too. Oh, my God,
actually, I'm
drama.
actually glad we're waiting until next week because we can do a couple episodes.
Yeah.
I have so much to talk to say.
Oh my God!
So
And
much
the
to say.
preview, I just have to. And then that get out of my house.
Honestly, guys, I am Team Rosie. That's where I'm at right now.
I think so too.
Oh yeah,
I think
her
so
and I came from a similar come up. So she's from Milton, I think.
Oh, is she?
From Milton?
Oh.
And then she worked at Kiss. I worked at Kiss. So I might have met her once. I don't know if I've met her, but obviously we have
I was
mutuals.
a little at first because I'm like, I'm not feeling it, but I was like. Well, I like when someone stands their ground, especially in a group that is like kind of all against you. So I'm like,
also
I'm here for
Kelsey
it.
cares about the wrong things.
Yeah, she does.
We're
we're gonna have a smorgasbord next week.
We'll talk about next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks.